Hello, I'm reviewing the sequel trilogy to Star Wars. To Force Awakens to the Rise of Skywalker. The shortest runtime in the one that has the shortest runtime is The Force Awakens. Probably why that's the best one, because it's the shortest runtime. I'm going to be straight with you. I was kind of disappointed with the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, with The Force Awakens when it came out. I mean, I get it. I guess I liked it more. I guess I liked it more the second time, The Force Awakens, than the first time. But and then I liked it less the third time I watched it, and I liked it even less the fourth time I watched it. After it came out of theaters, you know, years after it came out of theaters, you know. Look, I think The Force Awakens is a bit of a letdown like the other sequels in the Star Wars sequels trilogy. That's what I'm calling it, and that ends with Rise of Skywalker. I thought these movies were kind of disappointments. I mean, I don't think they're the worst pieces of shit movies in the world, by any means. To be honest, I don't think these aren't like the worst movies I've seen. They're just not good. I don't really like the sequel. There's something, and also I don't understand why the returning old characters are in this movie, other than just for nostalgia, to squeeze money off of the fans from the older trilogy, and to get them to see these movies. Because I don't think these movies have really a story to tell outside of really lame fan service that feels a little awful less like fan service and more like just this mocking the Star Wars, all the Star Wars past movies. It feels like the the sequel trilogy likes to do it. Like, it likes to poke fun of old Star Wars content a lot, while doing that as a fan service. It's like, yeah, a lot of it's kind of cringe and dumb ideas thrown together in the movie. And the original ideas that he had for this movie, The Force Awakens, as well as the rest of the sequels and the Force Awakens sequels, in the Force Awakens, besides The Force Awakens, there's Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker after this. And all of them have this problem where, like, the original ideas are just strange. Like how, like, for example, like, Kylo Ren's lightsaber is a really strange design lightsaber that I never quite didn't really understand the point on. Why does Kylo Ren need lightsabers just as a design, I guess, on he has, his lightsaber has two little lightsabers coming out of two lightsaber ends comes out of the handle, and I think Kylo Ren's is a very strange design lightsaber, but it's just like stuff like that that's like little the original ideas that they have for the sequel trilogy that they went with new characters, mixing new characters with old characters. Like all the original ideas that they had going for this movie, that they had stories to play out in. I gotta admit, the ideas that they went with is just like questionable. Like in the Last Jedi, this purple hair lady doesn't tell anybody about her plan to evacuate at the last minute, and this leads to one of her comrades turning on her, which is one of the main characters, creating treasoning against her because to buy Finn and destroy time to save a scenario thing. It's like, look, very convoluted storytelling this movie goes, and this is like lots of convoluted storytelling in The Last Jedi, and ironically that's the longest one in the sequel trilogy, The Last Jedi, and I think that might be my least favorite one because it's the longest one. And it feels like the longest one. Rise of Skywalker wasn't that much better compared to The Last Jedi. But it was shorter of a runtime. So I basically think it's a better movie because it's shorter than The Last Jedi. And another thing I have problems with these movies, none of these movies really connect and form a bigger story overall throughout the trilogy. Unlike that wasn't the case with the old trilogy or the prequel trilogy with Star Wars. Like, I felt like the ones that Lucas worked on, the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, I felt like those ones connected and had a bigger and told a bigger story. When it was like with all three movies aligned within this own trilogy, and I thought there was plenty of callbacks to the original run of Star Wars in the prequel trilogy, enough. And there's plenty of world building. I thought the world building in the prequel trilogy and also in the original trilogy were good. But I don't know what I liked about this new trilogy that really stood out to me. I mean, I gotta admit, the effects were nice for the time when each one came. I thought the effects were nice with the lightsaber, with the action, and the action was well shot, I thought. But I thought these movies lacked a certain. I felt like the sequel trilogy to Star Wars, it had no narrative structure. No, felt like it never knew how to tell a bigger. It never knew how to connect it. It also felt like it didn't know how to connect it to the old trilogy or the prequel trilogy. Like, it doesn't know how to connect it to the prequel or old trilogy. So, and outside of just having cameos. And that's the only reason why I think the cameos from the old characters are in this movie, to connect it to the old trilogy. Because the story doesn't know how to. And the world building sucks in these movies. There's not a whole lot of world building in these movies, like they were in the past Star Wars movie within The Force Awakens, and it doesn't get better after The Force Awakens. The installments after The Force Awakens in the trilogy of the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. It just gets the opposite. Worse. From bad to worse. That's my review on the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I give it an 8 out of 10. I guess I give it as a... I guess in this... Or 7 out of 10, I'm not really sure. Let me think. Before I end this video, let me think. I guess the Star Wars sequel trilogy is a 7 out of 10 for me. It's average. And forgettable. All sequels to the Star Wars sequel trilogy, The Force Awakens to The Rise of Skywalker, final Star Wars installment in the franchise of the sequel franchise of Star Wars. I give all 3 of the sequel trilogy a 7 out of 10. Each one gets a 7 out of 10 for average. So average, I kind of regret watching these. Because they're so average and forgettable. It makes me question, why did I ever like Star Wars to begin with? Is what all of these movies make me think to myself after watching them. Then I watched the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy again, and then I remembered, oh yeah, that's why. I watched the prequel trilogy again and the sequel trilogy. After watching the sequel trilogy, I watched the prequel trilogy more recently. And, you know what, I, gotta admit, something's... I think I just heard my parents parking. Oh, hi. Yay! I'm making a video. Okay.